There we
A
go.
quick
Are we
thing.
live? Are we live? You're going, oh, we're live now. Oh,
as close as
oh,
we can
dear.
get to it at our age.
Quick thing. Oh,
I was just going to say, if you spot things being deleted, get archive.org on it. Type the URL in. That's it all.
because I just quickly went live a few seconds early because of hello there. Oh, it's hello by flyby guys. Yeah, hello Stephen. John, I wanted to start early for that Stefanik bad, Skydio bad, Rotor Riot bad. Very good, very good. That's yes, there we are. That's it. That's everything covered, isn't it? Really? Yeah. I Stefanik bad. I can go with that. Skydio bad. I think I can say, well, in fact, both Skydio and Rotor Riot are only going to do what their business is going to do. Sadly, it's the bottom line. We saw it all coming, but just before we came on our air, Bruce mentioned that they're deleting the comments, and that's what Ian was leaning it with then. Hello there, Johnny. Can we find those comments if they've deleted them? Or are they gone?
I've archived a few, taken screenshots. Oh, hang on.
It's the only thing you can do.
There we are. They're on the phone. They're straight on the phone to you. We'll have a word with you immediately.
There we go. I've silenced them.
Well, I reckon that's a copyright strike for music or something like that now. Oh, thanks very much.
They have been very persistent. I see.
I'll put it on meeting mode.
Meeting.
Oh, no,
my
Tinder.
word. Yeah. So the Rotor Riot thing, I'm glad a few people have come out against it or come out with a comment, because you could be for it, you could be against it. Either way works. To have an opinion one way or the other is a good thing. Is it going to make any difference in the long run, what a few old people say, Bruce?
No. I mean, a lot of people, most of the people who are planning to boycott Rotor Riot never bought stuff from them in the first place.
No,
no. You know,
yeah, that would be. Yeah.
I put that poll up on. I put a poll up on Twitter, and what's it saying at the moment? 38.1% of people plan to. Oh no, that's the presidential poll. It's on my. It's on my community tab. Oh, that's not the right thing. Oh, this is terrible.
He didn't say you were terrible. He did say this is terrible as you arrived.
Here we go.
But I don't think that's what he meant.
No. Oh, you can't be sure though.
You can't. Okay. No, you can't be sure. That's true.
42% of respondents say they'll be boycotting Rotor Riot. This is out of 576 votes. 42% will be boycotting, 34% don't care, and 24% just came for the donuts.
It's interesting to know what those ones that are going to boycott, what their background is.
Yeah. But it's one of those things. I think the big mistake is not actually saying anything, just sort of closing the windows, raising the drawbridge, putting their fingers in their ears and hoping it'll all blow over. Because, I mean, from their point of view, they are powerless. They are a part of a group. And just as if I buy a Rotor Riot drone and I put a bomb on it and send it off to Ukraine, they can't do anything about that. And if another part of the Red Cat group takes those frames and militarizes them, well, Rotor Riot can't stop them. I mean, it's they sell product. They can't dictate what's done with the product once it leaves the door.
It's a stance. It's interesting, isn't it, that DJI have a stance of no, we don't want our products used for. The fact that they're very successfully used is, as you're suggesting, Bruce, it's another thing.
Yeah.
But their stance is they don't want them used for it. And it's interesting that...
I'm pretty sure Arduino doesn't want their stuff used in war situations, but I imagine that most of those suicide drones, as they call them, have got Arduino in them. You can't stop them.
Yes.
I think many of the purchases, as we know, that they will not go from one country to Ukraine or Russia or whatever, but they will go to various countries, usually to Africa, and then they'll go there. That's what we know. So they take they do take a route, and then they get
if you look at all those videos of the little Ukrainians sitting in their foxholes with a goggles or whatever, virtually all of them are using Radio Master TX16s.
Yeah.
So that Radio Master seems to be. I'm sure they're not. Maybe they are providing directly. I don't know, but The difference is, of course, that Rotor Riot are part of the company that is doing the militarization. But is that Rotor Riot's fault?
No.
That they just happen to be part of that. They didn't get like the people at Rotor Riot, the people who work there. They can't control who buys out their organization, buys it from Chad Kappa, and then sells it on to whoever. So they're caught in the middle. But I think they should just basically make a statement to the effect that, we are focused on the drone community and hobby, and we have no control of our products when they're purchased by other members of the group or people outside the organization. We can't control what people do with these things. That's because that's really the situation as I see it.
Yeah, who's this knocking on the door to come in down the bar? Oh no, now we are in trouble. That's really brought the tone.
Ian's
down,
to the power of two. I don't know.
Ian squared, absolutely, absolutely.
And on the note I mentioned Ian, so that gives me an opportunity to jump in for a second. Can I protest at this drone show being run at the same time as the soccer's ending, or football, as we should be saying? And there's French people crying live on TV, and we're all missing it. We won't see that for another 4 years.
Well, at least you got your priorities right. You're here.
Yeah, that's right.
The French will the French will have declared and surrendered already anyway. They don't.
Are we celebrating the hotel ban? Is that what we're celebrating?
Yeah. We're celebrating everything today.
I'm half past. That's really old news. That was coming down it's like the DJI thing. It's like, why is everyone getting upset? We knew this was coming. I just quite blows my mind.
I'm just quite pleased it happened, because if it happens to one, it needs to be equal. And look, there was never any logic that DJI was on the list and Autel wasn't.
But, so what happens to all the FPV, like the GEP RC and the all the other drone makers that are out of China? Are they going to be hit as well?
It's interesting because T-Motor's on that other list, which is quite big. And you are right, Bruce. The likes of GEP, the people who make product. So GEP,
Beta FPV,
Beta, iFlight potentially, I guess. There's a lot of, because although Autel was the one that had the image of the drone with the
bombs underneath it. Yeah, How did they think that was going to end for them? How did they think
on
that was
eBay,
going to end?
I may add.
on eBay, yeah.
How could you do that? How could you do that?
It was, it's been an interesting week, is what I'll say.
Mine's still bigger than yours. And funny enough, just sorry about the interest. Funny enough, this
that looks a lot like the image, Gary.
Well, that's it is. They're the Hobby King ones from years ago, and I see people mounting them underneath things, in their real world versions of their fancy new military machines. It's like, no, that's the Hobby King one that you're putting on there. Anyway, yes, it's for putting flour in it and etc. But yeah, no, it is craziness. But we've let Jack sit here for a while, and he's got the exciting new product that will be able to skip around these bans. We hope. And I think, Jack, are you still Half Chrome Dome the only person to have these platforms?
No, I don't think so. I think there's a few people that have them out there. If you if you're looking for it, I think Bill the Drone Reviewer got one of these in Florida. I think Alien Drones got one of these.
Okay,
he's got both of them, but I mean it's all related, right? Like this is how DJI plans to sell drones in the United States, or make money from drones in the United States.
That's a comment.
That's the case. Yeah,
that's a comment that what's his name from Anzu wouldn't make. I'm very interested you said that.
Yeah, and I think that's a very brave comment you've said there, Jack.
Randall.
Yeah, you're Randall. Yeah, I think that's a very, well, not brave, but a very honest. I mean, we've seen your videos, and we've seen. I think it was the first one you had. Was it the Air 3 or whatever it was?
Yeah,
and everything was basically the same. So let's just call a spade a spade.
That's what it is, right? Like this is the DJI 4K. It is. That's there's nothing different about this than that, other than when you open up the back door here, it says Specta Mini. The batteries aren't compatible, like the remotes aren't compatible, but the camera is the same, the hardware is the same, the software is essentially the same. They're the same drones, and DJI is just finding a way to sell their flying cameras in the United States. Why else is this only available in the United States on Amazon? Right? You can't buy this thing anywhere else.
See, I've heard an interesting thing about it. So, okay, the software is interesting because the software is not only similar or the same, it's on DJI servers. So the software is actually hosted on DJI servers. We've confirmed that in the background. So DJI are actually hosting the software. And this is a bit of a difference between Randall and Spectre. Yes. So if you take Anzu, the links to DJI are a bit more murky. I don't mean that negatively, but I just mean then it's not quite as clear and open. I still don't fully understand the game on this, but I've been told something really weird, but also interesting, that this is someone's pension fund at DJI, and this is a bit of a backdoor deal. I don't quite get why it's only in the US, as you rightly said, because it is only Amazon in the US. I also think if it was DJI trying to get around the rules, I think they'd have made it look a little bit different. If it was an active, do you know what I mean, an attempt to circumvent, I don't quite see it being so blatantly obvious. Other than the name being ripped off it, that's it, isn't it?
Basically, but like the way the law that was passed initially, right? So it isn't fully passed, right? We made it through half of our Congress, right? And the way that was written, if DJI doesn't own any part of Cogito Tech, then Cogito's free to buy however they made this agreement with DJI. They're free to buy them and sell them, right? So it's basically they're reselling, and unless they make it onto a list, they're going to be able to sell these things, I think.
Yeah.
But why would they not make it onto a list?
I think that's the interesting question, isn't it? And how long will it take? Because if we now look at Autel, we've now got Autel there, haven't we? If we use Autel,
Yeah.
There's also a very easy way, and what's quite interesting is these can't hide either. So what I mean by that is DJI use a very specific set of frequencies, okay, for their RF link. So I can find in about 10 seconds every product via the FCC search that has DJI's wireless system in it. So it's not even like these are hard to find in the FCC, because what you could do, as you rightly said there, Jack, they could flood the market with 30 brands of these. Do you know what I mean? You got Cognito, you get 30 different brands that all sneak their way through the FCC certification, and then it becomes a game of whack-a-mole. And I honestly thought that's what they were going to do on the early days, is, as you say, just keep putting out random brands, whack-a-mole, and see what happens. But they'd have to change something else because they're too easy to find at the moment. That's the problem.
Yeah. You know what? It could be like, people, they're trying to clear. It could also be they're trying to clear their inventory, right? Mm-hmm. Like they can't sell in the future, but they can sell everything they've already passed through the FCC. Like that's going to happen. Like these drones are getting bricked. Everything that's sitting in the store or sitting in some Amazon warehouse, people will be able to buy, even if this stuff is banned. It's just another way to get it out the door, right? This is a tiny bit cheaper. And if DJI, sells it to someone else, then they don't have to worry about figuring out customer care or whatever. That's someone else's problem, maybe. I don't know the answer. I've asked plenty of questions to Specta, and I get very little response. Right? They don't tell me anything.
This thing that surprises me is because, as we say, if they follow the way they ban ZTE and Huawei, they allow existing products to continue to be sold under existing authorizations. So what is the point in bringing out something like a Mini 4 Pro under a different brand? Because DJI can still sell the Mini 4 Pro. So why would you do
The
a parallel
product
branding
choice
on that.
is weird as well, isn't it? It's not even because that's the 4K, isn't it? It's not the Mini 4 Pro. It's the sort of,
Correct.
yeah. It's weird because it's also a mix of weird products. The A3, which is one of their latest products, 04, all of their latest stuff, and then you got this, which is essentially a 3-year-old drone. If we're being fair on it, it's not it's like the 3-year-old tech. It's a weird combination. It is a really weird.
But it's markets. That's what it is. Like those are their two biggest markets, right? This is absolutely the best drone you can get for under $300. Whatever version you want to call this, like,
yeah,
it's got a really good camera. 3-year-old. Actually, this is not the same camera as the Mini 2. I verified that, right? I have the Mini 2. I took that thing up. I flew it around. I took this thing up, same places, night, dark. I fixed all the camera things I could fix just to compare. This is different. I think the colors on this are a little bit better.
Probably it's a newer sensor. They've probably changed the sensor on it.
Right.
Yeah.
So the camera is better, but like this is a really good drone for $300. Whether it's the 4K, the Spec Mini, or even the Mini 2 SE, which also I'm pretty sure is the exact same drone. I think that's just software limited to 2.7K, but whatever. That's a different story. But like what they're doing is that's a huge market. Like people want a beginner drone. They don't want to spend $1,000. And then there are people that are, you know what? I want a better drone. I want to be able to take pictures at night. I want 2 cameras. And that $1,000, $900 Air 3 Spec to Air, whatever you want to call it, that fits that other niche really well, right? For those pros, those semi-pros. So you get the Weekend Warrior on one of these. You got the semi-pro, the pro. You can do pro stuff with the Air 3. I went to a wedding this past weekend. I took that, not my Mavic 3, because it's that good. It's good enough to do some of that work, and it's cheaper.
It's if they were available everywhere, it would. I mean, it's a very. We were out flying our 249 gram Autel this morning. My son was flying it, and you can't do any mapping grids or anything like that with that. That's an opportunity for them, isn't it? Is to open up the SDK and get a few more things. I'm sure it could get some commercial work done. But as my son pointed out, if you turn up at an event with the tiny thing, you might look a little bit silly. But if you're getting the job, as I said to him, if you're getting the job done, you're getting the job done. It doesn't really matter. It's a lot easier in some ways to turn up like that.
For sure.
Just don't let them see. Just don't let them come
I'll be honest, I don't think the do matters that much. It will come across you on personal confidence. If you stride in there, you make out you know what you're doing, and boom, you're on with job, you get the results. No one's gonna. No one's gonna.
Exactly.
It,
It's the output, isn't it? It doesn't matter.
If you were there and you felt, I think the thing is, if you felt, what's the word? I mean, if you were conscious about the fact you've got a small drone and thinking that people are going to be judging you for it, then you're going to have that kind of manner about it where you put your line.
I can honestly say that many companies now, even construction companies, or you're working with likes of Drone Deploy, because Drone Deploy are reaching out, they themselves are getting work, and there is a demand there, and there is a list of requirements, and a lot of work I get, the requirements are: you need to have this type of drone, you need to have this type of sensor, you need to have, and most of the time it has to be enterprise. It really has to be enterprise, because it has to match up with what they have had in the past and what they continue to want as well. And they don't want sub 250. They just don't want sub 250. And for many of these, it's almost impossible to do it anyway, because if you're doing a large area, you do a sub 250, it'll take you, maybe sometimes 2 days. But if you're using an enterprise drone, given the type of sensors that they have at the moment, you can do it in a couple of hours, and less batteries,
For sure. I think it matters the job that you're doing. I shot a commercial not too long ago with my brother-in-law Chris. He had the Mavic 3, and actually it was a couple of years ago. I was using a Mini. I don't remember exactly which mini drone I was, but I used that one for B-roll for other shots. It's fine, right? Like it wasn't the main drone that we use, but you get 2 drones up in the air. They both fit in one case. It's fantastic. But yeah, I think it's very, and I'm doing photography stuff, right? Mostly shooting houses, weddings. We did a commercial locally, right? So like little things where they're just like, I don't know, give me a HD video. Like a lot of times they don't, they're not being as specific. So I think it really is job by job.
Yeah, sure. But I mean, I think when you're doing those type of jobs, Jack, I think that having a 4K having a 4K drone, let's say basic Mini 3 Pro or something, you're really getting some decent quality there. And if the regulations require you to have a sub 250, then it's an absolute no brainer. My issue right now is I would like to see DJI from the European perspective. I would like to see DJI bring out a C1 class enterprise drone. That would be a game changer. That would be the icing on the cake. That would be, and that I think you would see a really big change in the industry there.
Well, you might get that if they can't sell anything in the United States, they'll change their market focus. Maybe that's something good that happens for you that comes out of the the ban that's potentially coming this way.
I don't think there's anything good going to come out of the ban from our side here. I've been very vocal about this, that anything bad that happens in the US will have a ripple effect on us at some point. Yep. I think it will. I do.
No, the thing is, sorry, Gary, for coming up late. But the thing is, it's good for everyone if the ban goes forward. We've had so long people working on small-scale drones, building very small-scale productions of specialized drones. Perhaps it's the time that some of the producers of components get together and start building drones by themselves. I can easily remember our mutual friend Philip. Philip was the one of the guys behind the 3DR Solo, and the 3DR Solo is still a viable machine considering everything. And even after 8 years, you can put one of those flying. I managed to get my flying with the latest versions of ArduPilot, controlling the camera, controlling a brand new Chinese gimbal. Hey, it works. So what is needed is someone to take the first step. And Philip is one of the guys that could easily do the first step. I'm not going after companies like Oterian that has now joined the Black Gang, like Rotor Riot.
Yeah.
But Philip has been vocal and is part of the mantra of ArduPilot, as you know, Gary, that we don't go after, even if we have the slightest smell of bad usage, so we step out. But the thing is, this is good. I believe. Okay. Oh, my drone will not be able to fly even if the FCC revokes all the existing drones. Good for them. I hope they do it. Hey, and I have DJIs. So, but good for them, and hope they do it. They want the camera in the sky, and there are various options. Yeah, there are various options available to put the camera in the sky. And
none of them are as good. That's the problem.
Yeah,
and I think someone will step
good?
up, but there's still. I mean, everyone is years behind where DJI currently is. That's
why is that? Because DJI has managed the corner the market with some tactics that are not only, the products are good, but
that's
actually in the market we
That's-
can do the same.
We're
this is-
all,
this is
we're
where
all
I
in here to
think
do.
about-
We're all here to do business, right? We're all here from, people here and people in the chat and myself. We're here to do business, and we want to be the best. We want to be the most profitable. We can't. I don't think we should be complaining about DJI and saying that it's, to a certain degree, is good that they're out the way and give others a chance. You have to fight for what you want to do, and if you have a product and you have the ability to be the best at it, and unfortunately, we have to use them because we are forced to.
Absolutely agree, but
Sorry?
perhaps it's one of the things that most of the business that goes around drones these days. And hey, I was in a company until recently that also based their business was on a premise using DJI drones. If a company bases their business on a single supplier, they're doomed because you have one single supplier. Imagine that DJI does not get banned and because of that raises the prices of their drones to 5 times more.
Oh, no one said that. That's a good point. That's a
So
good
you're
point. We've
doomed
not heard
in the
that
same.
comment.
You're basing your business in someone else's business.
Because there isn't another alternative that you
There are.
use.
Yes, there are.
I disagree. Okay, so let's just say I get approached by Drone Deploy, right, to say we want you to do X amount of work. So I just landed a contract today, which I will be continue to do until the end of 2028. Right, 2028. It's a really big contract. Now, without using a DJI drone, I wouldn't be able to have that contract.
Why?
Now that's
Why? There are
Why?
other.
Because the
There are
software that I
other.
have to use.
You
because-
have at the
if you
moment
let-
you have
I
hotel.
will explain why. Because if you ask me why, I will explain. Because the requirements for that job, I have to use. An enterprise drone. I could use any other drone, but it would take me 3-4 times as long to do the work, and I don't have the time to do that.
I'm gonna go on the disagree.
Imagine hold
Okay.
on. Imagine that
Why you disagree
that
then,
DJI
okay? So-
raises the prices of their drones 10 times.
Yeah, but we're not. But we're talking about hypothetical. If you're talking about raising the price of the drone, I'm talking about
True.
what the drone can do right now. Right.
Yeah,
so
but-
what the drone can do right now.
I bet
So
you
if
I
I'm-
can beat you all day long. I can beat you all day long with a large separate lift thrust VTOL
Anyway,
with a lidar underneath it.
Yeah,
I can do you. I can do your.
That's a lot of
Yeah,
money.
but they are wanting.
Yeah, but they
everything
pay.
done
They
a
pay
specific
themselves
way.
off quick.
Yeah.
For me, often when people say DJI is the best, it's often that's how to say you've not used anything other than DJI. Because if you look at some of the RG Pilot software, hands down, wipes the floor with the DJI software. You've just to know how to use it.
No. So okay, but I mean,
It
I
also
have
depends
used it.
what you're
but
doing.
If the
The
software,
jobs matter.
if the software that I need to use in order to
Well, yeah, I mean, if you've got software where you definitely can't work with, but that's very few and far between. A lot of the enterprise level stuff would work with RG Pilot still, and you could get the data out for it. But I wasn't really targeting that at you anyway.
No,
the
the thing is, imagine this drone. This drone is 8 years old. Okay, it's 8 years old. It can do what any drone can do of the current lineup of DJI.
I don't see a camera on that drone. That drone's not even going to take a picture for me.
It's
you
can remove the camera payloads.
Okay,
That's the beauty of it.
What type of shutters on there? Do you is it an electronic shutter or is it a mechanical shutter?
You can put the camera that you want.
Okay,
That's the beauty.
But
but does the software allow? Sorry, Jack.
Or you could just fly this, right? This is together. It's easy. It is it's there, and
it's convenient. It's
correct.
convenient.
It is all of those things. And
So
that
okay.
I flew one of those. I flew one of those things years ago. It was cool years ago, and then it was buggy and it was difficult and it took time.
Hey, I have them here.
I want someone to be better than DJI. They just don't exist. We don't have someone that does things on par in general that makes something that most people can just buy and fly. That's the problem. Unless you want to spend tens of thousands of dollars for very specialized equipment, you're not getting that from anybody.
But I mean, the point is, the DJI will come in cheaper and it will be simpler overall, but at the cost that you'll be missing features out of that DJI could have there, but has deliberately taken out to just essentially separate products.
They do. They absolutely do that. I'm not.
Look at what they're doing. The Mavic 3.
They're just not.
No, look at what they've done with the Mavic 3. You have the Mavic 3 Consumer, the Mavic 3 Enterprise. It's a software difference.
Correct.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. It's hardware difference. It's hardware difference.
There is a little bit.
The Mavic 3, the Mavic 3 Enterprise. This one here has got a mechanical shutter on here.
Yeah.
Right? I can take a picture. It takes a picture every 0.7 seconds. Okay.
What and why do they put it at that price point of 4 times the price point? Hey,
it makes no difference to me because I charge this. Okay. Now let's just say for example, right? So if I were to do the same job I'm doing one job, which I do every week, right? It's just a mapping job. If I were to use this drone, which is a Phantom 4, I would need 12 batteries to do that job. 12 batteries. Okay? 12. If I use this, I use 3.
Oh, now, and if you use an M350 with a P1 camera, you only use one set. Come on, that's not. You're basing your business on someone else's technology.
But
that's
I can't
the point.
Use that drone because it's too heavy. Because I have to stick to the regulations. So this is a better drone for that. So from a more efficiency point of view, I can do this job in the morning and then do another job in the afternoon, and then I can earn more money.
Yeah, I mean, there is a fair point there that I think the main thing that's made DJI's life easier is the regulations. Essentially, it's about the weights.
Yeah,
they've managed to get some into your sub 250, and then obviously when you go to your higher weights, even still, you're relatively going to be less weight with a DJI because they've integrated the gimbal in that way. If you have to do a frame and then you put like a Gremsy on it and so on, unfortunately, you have the added weight for that, and that's the only thing that's really stops people moving from DJI to try something else out because your life is easier, and that's just an unfortunate byproduct of bad regulation in the Western world, unfortunately.
The reason our machines go past is you say you do a job in the morning, a job in the afternoon, or you could just fly the whole day. And that's a very good platform. If you want to replace your, I've forgotten what that thing's called now, but that flies with LiDAR on it and other stuff. Just fly a decent platform. Why are people worrying about the toy flying, these toy businesses that people have? You don't need this rubbish. You get big proper.
But I couldn't fly that in the place that I'm doing it. I wouldn't be able to fly that.
Of course you would. You get the right permissions. Of course you would.
Can I jump in for a moment and just say that this week we've seen, according to NATO, we fly Phantoms.
Yes. Oh, who's that guy? Anyway, it's so to me, I think it's a little bit. It's interesting that people are worrying about that. What I would consider the smaller side of things. Is it really the business? Is it really where the money is? I think because there's going to be large, persistent platforms doing those photogrammetry jobs or LiDAR jobs in city centres soon. That's the way it's going to go. They're going to go all day.
Have to do it.
Go all day. But And to defend DJI, because he's got in his car. He's got in his car and driven off. Louis arrived in quite a feisty mood. So
No. Not that.
No, he hasn't. Sorry, he hasn't. Sorry.
Now the thing is, I believe it's always a risk if someone starts a business based on a single supplier technology. That is a hell of a risk, because you're always at the mercy of that supplier. And in the same way, if you don't want to work for a single customer that can cut you your income, you're basing your income on a single supplier. If that supplier wants to raise the prices tenfold, you're doomed. And at the current price level, you have professional guys that try to make a living out of that, and then you have amateurs that can buy the same equipment as you and undercut you terribly on price. And everybody, oh no, yes they can. You know how much did you charge for a square kilometer of photogrammetry 10 years ago? How much do you charge? You charge now? You're not charging the same. Otherwise, you will be out of the market.
The difference being for, when you're dealing with certain companies, right? And we tend to deal with a lot of larger companies. So doing business is not just a case of, can you fly? What's your price? Thank you very much. It's usually going through the whole tender issue. Checking the company's finance, going through certification. The process can take several months, which many small companies don't have that ability to do. They don't have the skill set to deal with things like that. Again, this is the business side as well, which a lot of people don't tend to understand and don't tend to realize. They think that they can go in and they can fly a drone and do whatever they want. But there's a whole other set that you have to work with there if you're dealing with the enterprise side. It's not that simple. I wish it was.
It's dealing with procurement. Dealing with procurement is an art.
Yeah.
I think what John said earlier, I'm going to bring it back up. I think Bruce has been doing some research on this, but I'm not sure. I knew that was something that was going to happen. Professional drone driver, exactly. Yes. The names people give themselves, well, that's another story altogether, isn't it? I think there was a chance that they might pull the plug on them. Ian picked up something interesting today. There seems to be a fire sale on those big battery charging boxes. DJI do seem to be running a little bit. I don't know if they're running a little bit.
Only in the US.
Yeah, I think that one's a bit different. Look, there's a bit of history to this. 2-3 weeks ago, they were paying very big channels to advertise them. And when I'm talking very big channels, I'm talking Linus Tech Tips
Bruce
and the others. Now, I suspect sales have been poor. And they're not the kind of product you can sit on for too long because the batteries will start to degrade. So I suspect they've put a few shipping containers of them into the US sales. They've tried mass marketing to get them to move, and that hasn't really worked. So I'm guessing now that, they dropped $400 off. That's huge drops. What's also weird, though, is EcoFlow also have about $400 off theirs.
Same company, isn't it?
No,
anyway, I know it's not, but similar people.
Only in the US, Ian? Is that only in the US?
Yeah, as well. Yeah. So it's a bit weird, but I suspect they're sitting on too much stock because they can't last. You can't leave them forever. The batteries will start to fail if they're not getting cycles through them.
And you might find Spectre having them for sale very soon. So might get one to Jack.
I'm actually annoyed.
I don't have one of those
in the UK. Yeah, I'm annoyed it's not in the UK.
Yes.
I'd have bought one.
Right.
Because that was big money off. That's big. $400 off is big money off. So
shows you the margins, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Does
shows
show
the margins. Yeah.
I'm looking forward to Jack's Spectra bike review because maybe
Yes,
they must be bringing out the bike next.
Well, I want to have a rant
bike
about
should be
something,
fine.
Gary.
There's
I want to rant about something.
There's no need for the FCC on that bike. That bike they could probably sell forever in the US, right?
No,
No,
they've
it's
got
LTE.
it's got LTE, Bluetooth, and Wi-Fi in it. So nope.
Okay, then. Okay, just kidding.
No,
They're gonna have to sell
listen.
those out. Yeah, I'll let you know how the spec bike is soon.
Yeah,
But
no,
even
that'd be
if
fantastic.
like the FCC pulling, that's very unlikely. There's no real precedent for that unless there was some actual threat. But even still, like these things aren't going to just start falling out of the sky, right?
No,
like I can still fly this
like
as long
a
as I
drone
don't
show.
update some sort of firmware that bricks any of my DJI things. They will all still work. Yes.
Yeah. DJI never going to
most
break them. I've
likely.
seen loads of people talk about this, and people are going, "What if DJI block them?" And I've always gone, "Why would DJI release a firmware to block their own drones from working because the US has banned them? In fact, they're more likely to release a firmware that undoes all NFCs, that removes all height restriction, and gives them the FU. That's the more likely event, not." Yeah, nothing will change for existing products.
Because dealers would go under because everyone would be returning them and saying they're no longer fit for purpose. And I'm sure there's consumer protection laws that would kick in and require them to refund to really cripple the dealers. But
I want to rant on something, Gary. I want to bring
Go
something
on then.
up.
All right.
Now,
Hang on. I'm going to
this
sit
is a first.
comfortably. All right then. Yeah.
Now, Bruce released a controversial video this week, right,
Again.
about brands using drones in war and situations. And do you know what I find very interesting? All I have heard for the last week is right, just because everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
Everyone else is doing it.
You were first.
When did it become acceptable? And I don't mean from Bruce. I'm talking about all of the people involved, all of the retailers, everyone else is doing it. Have we not learned from history that just because everyone else is doing it, if I go all the way back to World War II, if you go all the way back to the horrors that people have done over the years for orders, that just because everyone else is doing it makes it okay? Yet it seems the whole FPV industry overnight are backslapping each other because all of these manufacturers are going, oh yeah, but we're not alone. We're doing it as well. And I had an insane amount of messages and phone calls after I put my video up from some pretty big people, actually, and I won't name them because I was asked not to, trying to justify to me why I'm wrong, and this is the only way to secure Western manufactured components.
Yeah.
Because this is a good thing. And so my rant is, why does it mean we have to kill people to make components in the West? Why can they not do, as Louis said earlier, Ardra Pilot, the dev team, have a very simple and straightforward rule that basically drones will only be used for good. They won't support any weaponization of drones. They won't support the militarization of drones. Yet everyone else in the last 2 weeks is backslapping because, hey, everyone else is doing it. It's not my problem. It's okay. Boeing do it. They're doing it. It's okay. And it's not. And until people stop backing that up, nothing will change.
Okay. Can I counteract you?
No.
Yeah, go on then.
So we should also stop buying Toyota because in war zones, Toyota pickups are the most used vehicle?
No. Do Toyota have an advert saying our car can carry ammunition for weaponized use?
Oh, come on.
No, Louis.
Give me a break.
It's a fundamental difference.
Agreed.
Someone buying a product and modifying it is not the same as a manufacturer saying, hey, we are going to weaponize this. We are going to sell this in this configuration on purpose. They are two different things.
But here's where the difference comes in. Rotor Riot are not the party that are actually selling these in weaponized form. It is Red Cat or Teal Drones. So Teal Drones are not a hobby organization. They are military. So Rotor Riot, I said to them, you should take a stance and say, look, we distance ourselves. We make these things, but once we sell them, we can't control what people do with them.
Yeah,
which
but
is
it's
what all the
unusual
RC
machine,
manufacturers
and
are
this is the stupidity in this, Bruce. This is the bit I don't get right about that situation. So Red Cat owned Rotor Riot, Teal, Fat Shark. They split off Rotor Riot and Fat Shark into a separate company called Unusual Machines, basically to move the hobby element away from the industrial and military element. They've then gone and given that hobby element a contract to manufacture the drones and parts for military use on their behalf. Now, I don't know if the people there are just stupid or just inept, because why would you, if they had just gone, Red Cat is going to make these military drones, no one would have cared, because we all know that's what they're doing anyway. But what we have a situation of now is Rotor Riot is owned by Unusual Machines. It is the same people. Drew sits on the board of Unusual Machines. He is the CEO of Unusual Machines, which has responsibility for Rotor Riot. Rotor Riot are a big member of FPV who have done a huge amount of good, yet they're now hiding behind this, well, it's not us, it's our parent company. So it's okay for mum and dad to kill people, but and that's the reality here. Yet the bullshit argument is everyone else is doing it, and that is just this. Everyone else is doing it has really wound me up this week.
That's just a way for make people feel better about themselves. That's all that is.
It's not good enough to say everyone else is doing it.
But that's what they do. They're just justifying it for themselves. Whatever. They're making money. That's what it's about. It's about making money. That there's a whole lot more money in the government buying military drones than there are selling cameras to you and me. That's what Skydio did, and and that's what this is all part of that.
But they can pivot to that, and I got no issues with that. If they want to pivot to that, just go. We're going to go and do this. The bit that is extremely distasteful in this is, on the one hand, they're sitting here being this, we're bringing young people into FPV, we're doing this, we're promoting this. Yet that same company who's promoting it is now building drones to strap a bomb to the bottom of. And that is the fact.
Look at playing devil's advocate for a moment. If they just got a big order from any military supplier, they should be saying, we're not going to sell to any military suppliers. Is that what you're saying? They should say any orders.
They knowingly know that drone. As Louis has said, the Ardra pilot team, if they're working with someone and they find out it's for military use, what will happen, Louis? If the Ardra pilot team is working with someone,
it's immediately cut off, the same as with manned flight.
Yeah,
it should be said though. It doesn't mean that Ardra pilot isn't used in those circumstances.
No, absolutely.
But they can only control. But they can only control what they can control. And that's all you can do. And this is my point. Toyota can't control someone buying a truck in a random country and using it for bad. What you can control, Brazil can. What you can control is if you're choosing to make it, to carry, to specifically sell it to it. And it's
the problem is though that I suspect that in high circles within the Red Cat group, things were said. You guys, you're only here because we need you for our military aspect. If you're not prepared to supply us, then we shut you down because you're not making enough profit for us to even bother with. And so it's a case of do or die.
No, the thing
they have
is,
said, well, we're gonna fall on our swords because we don't want to be involved in military, or should we, take that blow and at least we can continue providing to the hobby and doing what we've done in the past.
There is a dangerous step though for the industry is when you start turning a blind eye or actively doing military products, whatever way you justify it, that makes it incredibly easy for the regulator and for those that are looking to profit, that hover around the regulators, that are always spinning. The drones are ammunitions, they're essentially the weapons of war. It makes their job really easy and say, look, there you go, there's your evidence. You actually putting evidence into the hands. I think that's why Brendan was smart with the DJI. They would never, officially condone any use of the products for war. For that very reason, it will eventually, one day, that is going to get turned against you, and that's going to result in regulation. That's going to hit you in your sales to your hobby and commercial communities.
On the upside, I can let you know. I've got a sneak preview of a product that Rotor Riot is about to release, which actually comes from a military background. So the technology is flying back the other way. If you keep an eye out, there'll be a video going up in the next day or so. I'm the only one who's reviewing the product, as far as I know.
It's a very rare thing to see that to see it coming back the way.
Yeah. Well,
that's not something you see very often.
Just think, as John said, what about companies who are doing it quietly? You can't deal with hearsay and rumors. If anyone says it publicly, I'll ban them all. I'll be quite happy that there is no one I can review on this channel because they're all behaving badly. But you can't deal with people. You can't do it on hearsay. You have to do it on what is being said. And he says about the 10-inch drones, but a 10-inch drone can be used for a number of things. You can talk about the payload, but again, it's you can't deal with hearsay. Rotor Riot, stupidly, not Rotor Riot, sorry, Unusual Machines, openly admitted this. You can only deal with what is open and factual. There's thousands of drones over in Ukraine, Russia, everywhere, DJI, others. The supply chains are complicated. You can't blame the manufacturers if it's not clear.
Yeah.
You just can't. You have to deal with
So tune in next week when we'll be exploring model railways as the hobby of the future.
Cars, Bruce.
I'll find a way to weaponize that, I'm sure.
Where's Gary gone anyway?
I don't know. Is he falling off? I don't know how much feedback you had on your video, Bruce, because I had a lot. I don't know how much you had.
But that's why I ran that poll I wanted to see, because as I said earlier on, I think most of the people at the moment who say I'm going to boycott Rotor Riot probably didn't buy it from them anyway, because they are sort of an intermediate level supplier. People who are been in a long time, they buy their stuff. Rotor Riot sort of like shrink wrapped, help you along. It's beginner and intermediate stuff, not the top end stuff. So yeah, it's interesting, but everyone has to make their own choice. I mean, you can't. One thing you've got to be sure is. Yeah, they do.
I said you can't force people.
I believe in freedom of choice.
Yeah, you can't force people. As I said, my opinion on it was just my opinion. I don't agree with it, what they're doing, and everyone has to make the decision for themselves. What you can't do is try to justify the why. What you just have to say to yourself is, are you okay with it or not? That's the reality, isn't it? You're either okay with it or you're not.
And the thing is, I think they should be making a statement. I think they should state their position instead of just trying to pretend this whole thing doesn't exist. That's the worst thing they can do. It's like we're trying to ignore the fact, and they're not taking on board the responsibility that they've got here in the situation, and explaining themselves or justifying themselves or apologizing. It has to be one of those three.
The thing is, we've been discussing, and you guys did those spectacular criticizing videos of Rotor Riot, but nobody is saying anything, for instance, from Auterion. And Auterion is a more serious case because they are actively promoting their flight controllers and PX4, which used to be an open source software, to be used in the battlefield. The question also comes up with Rotor Riot. Are they going to promote their hardware and software to the good guys or to the bad guys? Because if it's for the good guys and the good guys win, in 6 months, you two will be doing a video saying, oh, glad that Rotor Riot and Auterion were involved in becoming this.
You will never see that video on my channel.
Yeah, but
really, I promise you that.
Yeah, but the thing is, can that happen? If the good guys are using Rotor Riots and Auterion goods to fight the war, or if it's going to be on the good guys and the bad guys. And please note that I'm not saying who are the good guys and the bad guys. But anyone can be.
I'm sure that's how they justify it, though, right? Like, we are supplying the side that is correct, right? We're helping promote. We're fighting the good fight. We're supporting the troops that we should be supporting. That is what they're saying, right?
The reality is that
they're not saying that. They're not saying that. Hold on. They're not saying that they're helping the good guys. That's one point.
Yeah, but you can't control where they are going because
obviously it's the Toyota problem.
Yeah, exactly. We see it here. We see orders, coming in
and we get the cookbook. We see the orders, and of course, I mean, it would be nice to know that yes, this is going to Ukraine, but there's
which side of Ukraine? There's the west and east side of Ukraine now.
Yeah.
It's fluid, isn't it? But the thing is, what does Rotor Riot make that is so unique? Nothing. They frames.
No, well, that's the
anyone can make a
interesting
frame.
thing, Bruce. Yeah, it was
off-the-shelf flight
manufactured
controllers,
as well.
motors.
Yeah.
They're assemblers.
I think it's their walk snail system, right? That they're
It's not theirs.
partnered with,
It's
maybe.
Snails.
That was Fat Shark,
Right.
but that's not really thinging. John says something interesting about T-Motor, and T-Motor is one I'm on the fence on because T-Motor is a complicated one because T-Motor have been banned by the US for supplying Russia. Specifically, the belief is the Russian military. Now, that's complicated in itself because do you take a stand against Russia? Do you take a stand against where you stand on the line on this is complicated. Do we now say anyone who sells anything to Russia is wrong? Or do we now say anyone that sells anything to Russian military is wrong? I think T-Motor is probably one I'm not going to talk about again on the channel because they are banned. That's a reality. I actually have some T-Motor licensed products here from another company, which I think that gets murky. That's hard. You can't really blame that company for working with them, and T-Motor are now banned. But T-Motor is probably one that also needs to be on the list, but it's also complicated because I'm not comfortable in saying anyone who sells anything to Russia, period, if it's a person or not, should be blocked or banned. There's a madman in control of that country. Does that mean everything to do with it should be stopped? And I don't know. Sanctions are one thing. That's a political thing more than anything to put pressure on the government. But it's hard, isn't it? It is hard.
Yeah.
If they're selling to Russia, that must be going via somewhere else and not via the west, because it must be going via the east, and you can't control that.
No. And it's like John said, I did the review on the Velox. Yeah, and I'd actually filmed that before the Russian thing had happened. They'd got onto the ban list, so that was about that time. I think from my perspective with them, I probably won't review anything new from them directly. But it is complicated. The Russian one is hard because someone said to me, you can't blame the Russian people. You can't, I had a product here which I never reviewed, which I was sent from a Russian manufacturer. And it was got to me the week before the Ukraine thing happened, and I was meant to do a review, and I just said, I can't do it. I'm not doing it. I know this has nothing to do with you. They were very clear in their stance, but you couldn't put that video out. You just couldn't.
Oh, look, there's been a drone attack in South Africa. See? Blast.
Yeah.
And now, while I got you on here, Ian, while we change subject, Hack FPV, did you see that?
Yeah, I'm not really excited because
it's interesting, isn't it?
It is interesting. I don't know if you saw my comments. Some of his comments on some of the other systems don't quite align with reality. But look, I think it's interesting. It's a strange setup, though, having a frequency shifter after the RF stages. That's unusual in itself. Did you notice, though, the first words from Chris Anderson?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But it's not super techie hard stuff these days. And especially, with you can go on AliExpress and buy yourself a Max 2870 board that'll do 35 megahertz to 6 gigahertz and throw the modulator of choice in there. And especially like in this case where you're going from, let's say it was 800 megahertz up to 6 gigahertz. Obviously, in a military application, you don't care what frequencies you use. You'll spew it everywhere. You do as wideband as possible to avoid being blocked. So in those cases, you can do amazing stuff really easily. It doesn't have to be compliant with any certification. Oh, certification reminds me. I wonder what would happen if DJI started, like in their e-bike and even on that power unit thing, if they started using off-the-shelf pre-certified Bluetooth and Wi-Fi modules. How would the government respond to that?
Come on, DJI already has the photogrammetry images of the entire US thanks to their drones. Now they're going to collect the topography, so they know exactly where there is ground, so they get the complete image of US. That's a complete 1-2 approach. Get the images from the air and get the terrain data. Hey,
and don't forget balloons. You see, they've leaked some of that balloon technology to North Korea now.
No. The leak of the balloons is they want to also know where the clouds are. That's the different topic. But now the bicycle, for the bicycle, I don't know if they are going to do, like you said, using off-the-shelf already Bluetooth modules.
A lot of 3D printers do that. The cheaper 3D printers, they just have a USB port on the board inside, and they just plug literally an adapter in.
You've got a heap of stuff pre-approved. Yeah.
That's not the DJI way of doing things, as we know. So,
but if you need to make money, you need to make money, and they could do that if they want to get around this ban.
Yeah. Did you see the pricing of the bike?
10,000.
10,000. 10. Yeah. That's the base model as well, isn't it?
Wow. And the thing is, I think that bicycle is stupid. The bicycle is stupid because it has a non-removable battery.
Yeah.
So that means if you're a cyclist and do quite a bit of mountain biking,
Louis, everything's removable. It just depends how much force you want to use.
This is Louis' review.
No. Imagine the bicycle.
Quick swappable is the term I'd use.
No, because you have to cut the carbon frame to remove the battery. So, where?
No, it comes out where the motor is. You can slide it out the bottom where the motor is.
Oh,
you take the motor
are you
off,
sure?
Yeah,
Are you sure?
That's how they put it in. It goes in from the motor mount at the bottom up. So it's only 2 hours work, Louis. I don't know what you're complaining about, right? So,
and also, I expect you get quite good battery, life out of a charge, because with 800 watt hours, even at the full power of the motor, it's still like 50 minutes at 1 kilowatt or something, isn't it? So if you're going down to like just 100 watts, you've got 8 hours of operation.
It's incredible. I thought it was a good market for DJI to get into, because it's everything they do well. They do motors really well. They do ESCs well. They do batteries well.
We don't know if they do gearboxes well, because the motor powers a gearbox. So
they're going up against some heavy hitters in this, because Bosch are very big in this space.
And they should have talked to Hubsen, because they make the geared multi-rotors, don't they? They've got the gear technology.
And it's more expensive than the German equivalent as well, isn't it? It's not even price realistic.
No, the bicycle is the price of the German bikes.
What do they say? Bosch, greater e-bikes, crap at war.
That doesn't make sense. A $10,000 e-bike, like
it's not expensive. Hold on. It's not expensive for a top-of-the-line e-bike.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Sure, but like to enter the market, I guess you can enter the market anywhere. But like the $1,000 to $1,200 e-bike, that market is everywhere here. Like that's what people are buying here in the United States. You'll see 90 of those before you see one or two high-end e-bikes.
Those, hey, we got the same sites to go and buy those bicycles, those e-bikes, up to $1,000. It's just a crazy market, and they're all Chinese, as we know.
They're all the same,
basically, and they all have dangerous batteries, like we all know. So the thing is, they went for the top end of the market. That's their strategy, because $10,000 for a top-of-the-line bicycle, it's not much. You can easily outspend that bicycle if you go top-of-the-line components for an e-bike.
Even a pedal bike, some of them are up that price if you get the top-of-the-line super lightweights. Yeah,
exactly. A non-e-bike.
Yeah.
At this point, can I change the topic?
No,
because we need an apology from Bruce today for years and years and years and years and years and years of saying that it's the drone community that's bringing a sort of a bad reputation on the model aircraft community, because EASA have published a report where they are putting drones and your model aircraft under the UAS heading, and then they've gone, and we've got a death, and the death's obviously a large model aircraft. So
I think
it's drone users into disrepute.
We've had nearly a dozen deaths
fair to
worldwide.
say that EASA have brought this ASR document out yesterday, and for the first time, they've added unmanned aviation to the ASR. Okay, because there hasn't been drones in this report, but this year they have added unmanned aviation to the report.
Yeah,
and
it is funny when you put them under UAS, because someone we know now, there will be an academic or a newspaper that will say a UAS death, citing the document, and they won't mention it was a model aircraft, and there is a distinct difference between them. And I have to say, I don't think the CAA has ever played that as when you get in with these statistics. I think you're on pretty dodgy ground with that, because you're getting people to think that some little Timmy with his sub 250 is flying around and could kill somebody, when that isn't the case at all. So anyway, I'll let Bruce have his thoughts on that.
That's why I'm always very careful to say the recreational use of multi-rotor drones. That's clearly specifies, because there've been plenty of deaths with RC model aircraft. I mean, model helicopters and fixed wing have killed people, and people get really badly injured all the time. But the intrinsic risk of multi-rotors is actually lower than a model aircraft, because normally they have very little forward speed. And, the lightweight plastic, a lot of them. Whereas you get a model aircraft, it might have an internal combustion engine in the front, could have a turbine in it. It could be a dynamic soarer doing 400 kilometers an hour. They're a lot riskier in terms of the intrinsic risk. But of course, that's not acknowledged by any of the regulatory authorities.
It has to be said still, Bruce, with that race, accidents where someone's killed are still pretty rare, especially when you compare it to other everyday things that we do, from DIY, climbing ladders and whatever else.
Exactly.
I think the person that lost their life in that incident, sadly it was an accident, and he was placed in a position that he shouldn't have been, as far as the investigation has went. So it is an unfortunate incident, but it's one of those things where the model aircraft community have been complaining about the drone users, and the drone users haven't really cared about the model aircraft. But now I think that they probably do, because they're saying that this is we're being tarred by the wrong brush here. But of course, the report does state that it was a model aircraft and it wasn't an actual drone, but it just falls under the unmanned aircraft or the aviation.
That report itself's fine for doing that, but we always know once someone does a report, someone else cites it, they'll put the link there in the footnote, but they won't mention that elaboration.
I think this is a separate issue. We've also discussed this. If you've got shit journalism and you've got shit newspapers, and if people want to read shit, then of course that's fine. But and unfortunately, the UK, you have that a hell of a lot.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, though, with these things, it's often been beyond journalism. It's academics that'll do it. It'll be people that are actually advising regulators that will put these one-liners in without ever the elaboration, because they want to paint a picture, and that's just what worries me when you do that. I do think we need to keep a very separate line between, and then you just. I just don't like the way it's UAS.
Yeah,
so often used for multi-rotor.
I'm planning, let's say, I'm planning a strategic move to EASA about this.
Oh, that's good.
I think this whole thing, this should have been a divide right from day one between traditional model aircraft and multi-rotor drones for everybody's safety. It's like the fact that the traditional hobby didn't kick up enough of a stink about it, just shows how disorganized it is. It was one of the worst things they ever did was accept the nomenclature drone or UAS for fixed wing radio controlled model aircraft operations. It's just everyone's asleep at the wheel.
I think the EASA have also given themselves more work to do, because many of them are trying to define
the regulations and whatnot, and they've given themselves a lot more work by adding, the model aircraft, because it should be separate, but let's see. But yeah, I spotted that right away when I read the report last night, and so it's a bit unfortunate.
It just makes me think at the back of my mind that isn't it convenient that these things happen after Reed's being pushed? It does feel as though when these reports come out afterwards, there'll be somebody in an office somewhere and there's been some email and they've said, you know what, we need to justify this. If we can pull the death out of this, put it in there, and so if you could dramatize things, it always
Ian, this happened over a year ago.
The report didn't, though, did it? That's
no,
what I mean.
no.
I mean, when you actually decide to bring these things in.
Yeah, but it would have been reported as the unmanned, because it would have been reported. It would have been investigated by EASA from the unmanned aviation side. It would have been so, but of course it was reported because I think it was the Daily Mail. I can't quite remember, or it was the Express. I sent it to you, Gary, last night. Actually, I did actually send it to you, so I can't remember. And I posted it on your tweet last night as well, Ian. I can't remember the newspaper.
Yeah. No, sorry,
Yeah. So, but anyway, it was over a year ago. So it was June last year when the incident happened, and I didn't even know about it. I hadn't even heard about it, and it happened in Spain. It was in Spain.
It's one of those things. As soon as I saw it, I did. Normally with these kind of things, because it's mobile aircraft or drones, it normally gets posted around anyway. So it was one that I was thinking, what is this one? I've not heard of it. When like the Align heli in New York happened, I was immediately aware of that. So it's just one of those that didn't seem to get much publicity, and we've only just seen it for many of us when it's hit this report.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that we're now tarred with that same brush,
Yeah, I mean, I think with that one, it's obviously it's easy enough for us to argue over, because we know the difference. I just fear we'll just have to be on top for when journalists or academics try to misuse the statistic to jump on them and go, wait a minute, full well the difference and why it's different.
Yeah, I want to go back and ask Jack, a few questions first, but just when you were talking about, about knowledge, I was in the UK a couple of weeks ago, and I was confronted by the police. So I was flying in Hyde Park for the Hyde Park Festival, and I was flying there I was flying on behalf of the police actually. But I had the police actually approach me and ask me the most stupid questions you would never. Well, actually, you probably will believe it actually, but they were asking the most insanely stupid questions, and I really have to say, what is their knowledge of drones? What is the police in the UK? What is their what do they think drones actually do? Because they were asking, is this a joke? Are they asking, are they being serious here? And they were. And I was like, no, drones don't do that. I won't say what they, I won't say what they asked.
Oh, go on, I want to know. Give us one of the questions. I'll go on, one of them. Did they ask if you're perving for Windows?
Do you see other drones in the sky? Do you detect
your radar?
Yeah. Can you tell us that there's drones in there? I'm like, no. And they're like, why? I'm like, because drones don't do that. Yeah, I was told they did. And I was like, no, don't do that.
Oh, so they probably heard of aeroscope and then just assume that's a general functionality rather than...
Yeah, aeroscope is different. But if you have a drone in the sky and they think that drone can detect any other drone in the sky.
Yeah, why not?
Could be
at least it sounds like you're your encounter with them was quite innocent? Because that sounds like someone that's kind of intrigued and interested.
No, they were high up.
Oh, okay.
Trust me, they were high up.
That's kind of how like my interactions with police are actually pretty limited, but I fly a lot in my current town, and I've actually flown at the police station with the police, for the police, and there's like one guy in the station that knows anything about drones, and that's it. And you know, everyone else is like, oh, that's kind of neat, you know, and yeah, they'll ask me dumb questions. How long that thing can be up there? Yeah. So like, I totally believe that, right? Like I you know, I think it's station by station, right? Like, but it's usually one or two guys, that have like, they have in our town, we have a drone unit, right? And I've talked to that guy, you know, a couple times. I work at the high school. He helps out at the high school every now and then, right? So he'll come and find me and ask me questions, right? But like they're not trained. Like the FAA is not training people, you know, police officers. It's just like if someone happens to know something, they happen to know something. A lot of them have really expensive drones that just sit in boxes in the back somewhere. I think, you know, that's my experience.
I do think that the police should have some basic understanding about drones, what they do and what they can and what they should and what they should not do. You know, from like a basic, you know, let's say knowledge. And I had a similar experience in Germany. I was actually flying at the main police station in Hamburg one day. It was a massive area, and this was like a massive compound, and I had about 20 police officers just come out and standing watching, looking at the drone going, ooh, wow. And I'm kind of going, what the hell? Why are they so surprised at this? But they were all clueless. I mean, they just did not know. So it really goes, I mean, this is, I would say, quite international here, that, you know, that you find the police really don't know. But that's also quite concerning, because if they do think that someone's doing wrong, and of course that person may not be doing something wrong, is that, you know, that person can let's say get into trouble or not get into trouble in a sense, but you know, it sends the wrong message out, I think, you know, and a bit unease within the community.
I mean, it's a difficult one because you're that many police. I kind of almost think, because they represent general society. I mean, after all, they are everyday people that just happen to have that job. That it's reasonable that a lot of people don't know about drones. I think the problem comes about for the fact that they're tasked with enforcing the legislation. That's where the problem comes about. I do think probably the police have almost got a bit of a raw deal in having to own the legislation, because it still does feel very specialised, and we've kind of got things in a mess where you've got your regulators and you've got your police, and between them, just a lot falls through the cracks, and often the wrong people are targeted. You know, the CAA is only interested in targeting your commercial operators, so your people that are most likely to be doing things right and have genuinely gone about things where they're trying to do so, are you most likely to get grief. And someone that's actually intent on ignoring the rules, you know, essentially they can just do as they please, and the chances of anyone ever, you know, dealing with them are pretty slim. So yeah, I don't quite know what the answer is, but I know things aren't right. You know, I'd say, you know, if it was me, I'd have a simpler legislation, and have more responsibility put on. You know, it almost needs a specialised team, doesn't it? Something where you combine a bit of the CAA and a police force. You know, it's like if you're dealing with cybercrime, you wouldn't expect your normal officer on the beat to be going around tackling cybercrime. You have a specialised team for it. And it does feel that there needs to be that attitude. It doesn't work when you have it as someone's dealing with burglary and they're dealing with antisocial behaviour. And by the way, can you deal with drones?
Yeah. Falls apart.
Yeah.
I think you're right on there.
Yeah. What is it like in New Zealand, Bruce? Do the police have drone? Is there big drone units there, or what? Or
No, there's only the ones that chase me. It's pretty...
yeah, you don't count.
There's not a lot of official
you, Bruce. The council
use of drones. Yeah, no, they just try and get me, and that's it. I am the target of the drone squad.
The regulations, though, there again, from my impression, they were quite overzealous in Australia as well. Is that right? As an impression to have?
I think it depends on the time of day, how many donuts are left in the box and things like that. But no, the CAA themselves don't seem to chase much. The police don't do virtually any enforcement of drone rules here. They're not empowered, I think, to do drone enforcement. It's done by the CAA themselves, although under the new CAA Civil Aviation Act, which comes into effect next year, I think that grants the police powers to do some enforcement. But as of this stage, they don't have enforcement powers.
A quick question, Bruce, with Gary obviously having dropped off for now. Are you able to do a screen share of any of the links I put in the private chat? Because there's a tweet at the end of that, which I think is worth looking at, because this has a photograph of a NATO counter UAS test, and I just found this quite amusing.
Is that the last link?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll have a look. The question is not can I be bothered? Hang on.
I'm headed out, guys. Thanks for having me on.
I'm opening the link in a
Jack,
new.
yes.
I appreciate it. Good times.
This is going to be interesting. What have we got here? I should do this in a new tab, shouldn't? Oh, hang on. Oh, this is so complicated, mate. Hold on. Open in a new window. There you go. This might work. And so, what is this thing we're looking at here? What is it? Hang on. I'll just. That thing. Yeah.
It shows a photo of a counter UAS test.
I shall try and share it. It could be tricky. See what happens. What have we got? Invite, leave studio. I don't know how to do all this rubbish. Present. Is that it? Probably is. Present. Share screen. Here we go. Share screen. I've got to choose a screen. Oh, it's so complicated. What's this one called? Oh, I don't know. Hang on a minute.
Welcome to this week's episode of Old Men with Computers.
Is this sharing? Hang on.
No,
that's not the right one. What's it doing? I don't know.
Or hashtag.
I've got no clues. I've got no clues, mate. I've got no. Don't leave me to do anything sensible.
Can you get that into the normal comments so people can click themselves and we can just tell them what's there for now?
I'll copy it into the normal comments.
For some reason, if I put some in the comments, it always blocks it. And so I'm trying to tell people, here's the link, watch this. And they always
there you go. Is it coming up? Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. So you've got a link in there. So people that, if you've got a phone or you're watching it on the PC, you can click that. You can have a look at it later. But basically, there is a photo from a NATO test of counter UAS. And you won't be surprised that they are tested and proven the sensors with the DJI Phantom. Because, of course, we're all flying DJI Phantoms and all criminals are flying DJI Phantoms, unfortunately.
Yeah, but
no, you're wrong, Ian. I've seen in the Daily Mail every bad actor uses a DJI Phantom or something that's at least 15 years old.
With a scary face on it.
Yeah, with a scary face.
There's also a Parrot fixed wing there as well, and there's a Mavic 3 Enterprise.
Disco.
Disco. But basically, they've got a set of drones where you're not really trying to test and actually break the sensors there because, you'd think, oh, well, I'll put an RG Pilot thing in there, I'll put in a sub 250 and the likes, and really, it's your pretty normal mix. The only thing I'm actually disappointed not to see in there because it's your normal go-to. In fact, they may have even used one and just not photographed it, but it's often the Inspire. So it almost feels like with these tests, you're almost guaranteeing them to pass because you want to be using all the stuff that's they're likely to encounter that's likely to give you a problem. You're more likely to have a problem detecting and dealing with a sub 250, a Mavic Mini, than you are with the full-size Mavic or certainly your Phantom. So I just thought it was interesting. I just thought, haven't we moved on a bit where we can be a bit more representative? And I can also
inclusive.
be
Inclusive. We should be inclusive.
Indeed,
that's the big thing these days.
The cable management will make a lot of people laugh as well. So that'll be one I want to look at as well. It looks like very much a fire hazard.
I don't know when I last flew this.
And loads of plugs in it.
I don't know when I last flew this. I really have no memory when I last flew this.
I can't show you my Phantom because mine flew away. I actually had the legitimate first ever recorded in the public, the DJI Phantom Fireway. It's there on RC groups, and people back then were direct messaging me, and I think these were like DJI dealers telling me, "Oh, that can't happen. The DJI Phantoms don't fly away."
Yeah, but most people didn't realize that DJI only ever made 5 of those. They just returned to China and they resold them.
Yeah, the NASA-based one would have flown away. That's for sure.
As I said, okay. I've got a load of other links, but we're not going to be very entertaining if we click them on and talk about them for people. So maybe we'll queue those up for next week.
We've got an hour and 25. That's pretty good whack, isn't it?
It is. It is.
I can shut us down. That's cool, eh?
What happened to Gary?
I don't know. Who cares?
It's like the Top Gear rules. You don't talk about the person who vanished. You
going all night.
You just pretend.
Going all night.
Yeah. What we should do is put up some crypto thing now for Gary and let it run overnight. Elon Musk continuously.
Send me a Bitcoin. I'll send you 2 back.
Yeah.
Louis in, but I can't hear him.
Oh yeah, you muted Louis.
He's not muted because he's got his no thing up, but he must be.
Okay. So
I think he's just a long way away. No, he's still not working, Louis.
He's got a DJI mic, and they've obviously
he's been blocked. No, can you do sign language? You know, you need one of these. These are really useful because you just write on it and then you just hold it up. It's not working, mate. Oh no.
Something's unplugged.
And this is what happens when you don't eat your veggies, eh?
And welcome to episode 2 of Old
No.
You're back, Louis.
I'm back. Somehow this thing switched the microphone to a non-existing microphone. No, I think we should start GoFundMe to have Starlink to Gary. He needs a Starlink.
Power, isn't it?
Yeah, we need to. Gary needs a Starlink. Is it legal? Why doesn't Gary have a Starlink? Is it because he's too tight to pay for it, or is it's not available?
I think the satellites go round South Africa.
Because look, we all know how much he gets off this channel on income, and the lack in appearance fees that he pays anyone but Bruce, obviously, because Bruce is the number 1 star. You know, the problem is Bruce gets the green room, Bruce gets the fruit before the show as well,
and the M&Ms,
and look, you know, the rest of us are given 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. But yeah, I would have thought Gary. The problem Gary might have.
I didn't get mine. Are you getting mine? Are you getting mine crisps?
Well, Gary says it's illegal.
It's illegal.
It's illegal. More reason to have it, I say.
And next, the question would be for Gary is, would he have the power to actually use it? Because it's not as simple as over there having the Starlink. Does he even have power?
Do we care? No, we don't care. We're rambling now, as Gary would say. Yeah. So should we say goodbye?
We should.
Should we do a chorus? Goodbye. Okay. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to tune in next week when a bunch of crazy old men talk about quilting and basket weaving because drones are dead. And now I will press the button that Gary presses. Is it going? Oh, you do get 2 buttons, eh? In the stream. Not yet or yes. I'll click